them quickly on the 10 amendments on Independence Day, July the 4th. So what was your question?
Well, I mean, I just want to talk about the First Amendment, which guards your freedom to speak. And then I want to contrast with the Fifth Amendment, which is your freedom to remain silent.
So,
Right? So we're here on Independence Day, me and my friend, and we want to talk about the First Amendment of the Constitution, which is your freedom of speech, your freedom of expression, your freedom of religion, all combined into one, your freedom to talk. And contrast it with the Fifth Amendment, which is your right to remain silent. Two contrasting things, in my opinion, and I think very profound by the founding fathers. Don't you agree?
What we like to do when we're trying to educate is we like to simplify. When you throw a lot of information at people at one time, it seems like too much to take.
Sure.
But really, this is it. This is 1776. This is the 4th of July.
That's absolutely right.
And all we have is 10 simple amendments. And he wants to know specifically, how do you interlink? Because if you can figure out your 10 amendments and memorize them, you can use them like chess pieces to nullify any state and federal law, to basically have complete immunity. So long as you don't violate the maxim of hurting another person, violating their rights, or destroying their property, you are completely protected by the 10 amendments. So he's wanting to know, how do you lock the police and authorities out? Well, the First Amendment clearly says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievance. Now,
that's your right. Now, that's your right to talk to the government and say, hey, listen, you're doing it wrong. You're not allowed to do that. Redress of grievances. You've harmed me, and you're not allowed to do so.
Well, what this First Amendment says is it's not just you using free speech to speak to the government. It's you using free speech to say anything to anybody.
Yeah.
Period.
So when you contrast that with the Fifth Amendment, which is...
the Fifth Amendment. So make sure that we understand. If you preface anything you say with, it is a part of my free exercise of worship to say what I'm about to say.
Right.
You have the First Amendment that has you ironclad, like you're wearing a shield.
Right.
So if I say, Jason, God is telling me right now that you are a douchebag.
Right.
What?
Okay? And
You call Jason douchebag?
if, we're saying if. But right now I'm protected under first.
Right.
I just said that God spoke to me and said you're a douchebag.
So your freedom of religion...
Yeah, and who are you to question? Because I could be a spaghetti flying monster worshiper.
Right.
But I have a free exercise to make that deity a deity.
Sure.
You have a free exercise to make anything a deity. So you're protected. Anything that you can classify as your freedom of expression of worship falls under First Amendment. So you have a bulletproof vest.
All right.
Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if I say Barack Obama is a
Douchebag. You're protected under your First Amendment rights to do so.
Yeah, because of my understanding of spirituality is that God wants truth and honesty. And if his behavior or his actions dictate douchebaggery, then you're protected by the First Amendment.
Okay.
Okay.
And so when you contrast that then your freedom to speak, and contrast it with the Fifth Amendment, which is your freedom to not speak, right? Let's look at the Fifth Amendment.
Fifth Amendment says, no person shall be held to answer for capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment of indictment or a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal, make sure we understood the word criminal means there's a victim, case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, which is 12 jurors of your peers. Definition of peers is people like you, which means if they come up with a jury of 12 people of different religions, I can literally and legally, lawfully say, unless they're all Gnostics, they are not my peers, and therefore strike all jury members. So now you have a hung juror. So you can eliminate your peers. They pull from a pool of the public of voters But just because you have voters doesn't mean they're your peers. Your peers are people who are you. Liberty activists. For example, if you have one juror on a pool of 12, and you ask those jurors, do you believe in the Constitution of the 10 Amendments? And they say yes, and then you say, quote them, and they can't. That means he's not a peer, strike him.
Okay.
You bind down the legal system that way. So you can't be deprived of any criminal witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So basically, whenever you're dealing with citizens, other Americans, you use your freedom of expression, which in the Bible we have the word inspiration, God breathed. So First Amendment is God inspires what I say, breath. So that's anything I say comes from God. Get that in your head. Everything I say comes from the divine, my freedom of expression. But when an authority figure asks me a question, and they're trying to pull me into the legal world, where they have all these words and fancy clouds and smokes of mirrors, you shut your mouth, because they're from a different world.
I don't even believe none of that.
You see what I'm saying?
You're throwing me into a whole
So
different
your
place.
First Amendment is everything that you say,
They don't
believe,
like it, but they're
you know, as long as you don't hurt another person,
I don't believe that.
you can say whatever you want to, you can write whatever you want to, and say that truth and honesty is what my God demands of me. Whatever you call your God, and say it openly.
And when you contrast that with the Fifth Amendment is...
When legality or anybody who is presupposing authority over you wants to catch you in your net, I have nothing to say to you because you wouldn't understand it.
Right.
Because I'm speaking from a spiritual place. I'm speaking from divine providence, and you have codes and statutes and acts.
Right.
You have a badge and a gun and training. You wouldn't understand what I'm saying.
Right.
You will arrest me and throw me in a cage for jaywalking because some politician wrote it down. You don't understand. I'm speaking from a place higher, which is my first Amendment, which is why freedom of worship and freedom of the press.
So on Independence Day, the Founding Fathers basically got it right. They listed how it is supposed to work, and we've skewed it in some way. You have a First Amendment right, which is freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom to redress your government of grievances, and you have a Fifth Amendment right to say,
to shut your mouth. To those who it doesn't
you are
apply
over
to.
there.
Yeah.
You cannot penetrate into here.
Put it to you this way, Jason. When a cop pulls you over because you weaved a line, did you hurt anybody? Did you violate God's law? No. He's doing it because some sergeant or some lieutenant told him, write this many tickets so we can get this much money for this city.
Right.
So we can get more radar guns to catch more people, more tasers to tase more
and
people.
pour the money from the populace to create other systems.
Right.
So they're on that mindset. They're on the mindset of revenue.
So the state's generating revenue,
Yeah.
and you can protect yourself basically from the 10 Amendments of the Constitution if you read them and understand them.
If you understand them, simplify it.
Right.
If you come at it with a mind that these were people who wanted to make it simple to be
We
free.
got
Well,
sunshine. Thank you,
Happy Independence
Mama.
Day.
Thank you,
We'll do the
sunshine.
prison thing.
Namaste.
Get up
Namaste.
here, sunshine.